comic Injustice, including the totally awesome Dark Side War one, The Button, and a ton of others.
No, we charge them.
Jay, I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Sure.
I think your first work as a penciler was in May 2010 for Superman Batman number 17. Was that your first professional comic work ever?
Yes, that was. And I was terrified to draw that book. I had been working and doing some, portfolio stuff before that book, and then I got that project, and it was just like being thrown into the deep end. It's like, now you got to draw really fast, and you have to, you have a deadline, and I'd never done anything like that before. And it was really tough, and I thought after I did that book, I thought I stunk so bad that they would never offer me another project.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but you have to start somewhere, right?
How did you get to draw such a big title so early in your career?
Well, I was learning from David Finch, who is a famous comic book artist, and at the time, he was working with Marvel, and I sent my portfolio to him, and he lives in my hometown. So I was able to go with over to David's house and learn one-on-one from him. And the way I explain it is he put me through a comic book boot camp. And after about 6 months, he had switched over to DC, and he's like, you know what, let's send your portfolio in and see if you get hired. They did, and that was the first project that they offered me was, hey, do you want to draw this book? And I said yes, and that's how it all started.
Wow. Did you always want to be a comic book artist?
When I was a kid, I wanted to be a movie maker. I wanted to be a film director. And I made lots of movies growing up. I was always studying film. And even in college, that's what I wanted to do. But then, towards the end of my high school, I started to really fall in love with comic books. And wanted to pursue that because I loved illustrating. And the way I see comics is a comic book is essentially a movie put on a page, right? It's drawings. It's almost like it's like a storyboard for a film. It's a visual medium, and it kind of married both of those things that I really loved together. And so when I went through college for animation to learn how to animate. I figured maybe I could get into Disney or something. But then, like I had mentioned, when I got out, I was really into illustration. I met David Finch, and that's how I kind of went into comic books.
Do you have time to read comics now, or are you too busy?
I don't read as many comics as I used to. Really, right now I'm reading Doomsday Clock by Jeff Johns. That's my favorite book. As time has gone by, I've read less and less. But I do find the books that I'm reading are more, they're different. I'm really getting into some of the European style comic books, which are a little more sci-fi, and they're a bigger size print and different kind of stories than the American comics. And so I'm finding inspiration in some different areas right now.
Oh wow! I read that you were mentored by David Finch. He's a really great artist and a really nice guy. What did you learn from him?
I learned a lot from David. He taught me how to do the anatomy on the characters, how to draw backgrounds, how to draw buildings, doing pretty much everything. We went step by step and did a little bit of everything. And he was really harsh. He was a harsh teacher. If he thought it stunk, he told me. And it kind of taught me to have you have to have a tough skin working in comics, because you can do the best work you possibly can, and if you go on the internet, somebody hates you. Somebody thinks it stinks. Somebody thinks you're garbage, and you kind of have to gain a thick skin, or your editors at work, they'll tell you something doesn't look good, and you've spent hours doing it, and it's like, I learned a lot from him, and I still learn a lot from him. I still send him pages and get his opinion on things.
Wow. You drew the cover for Flash 22 as part of the Button story. When I interviewed John Wesley Shipp, who plays Big Eric on TV, he told me how much he loved that cover. Have you ever had a chance to talk to him about it?
No, that's pretty cool. I didn't know that. I remember watching the old Flash movie when I was a kid, and yeah, that's pretty neat. It's neat when people like that, actors or movie stars, when they've read your stuff, it's kind of surreal.
Nice. A lot of artists, Neil Adams, David Finch, Tom Mandrake, have told me that Batman's cape is something special. That it's like no one else's cape. Do you agree? Why do you think it has its own personality, but Superman's cape, for example, doesn't?
Essentially, Batman's cape is almost like, the way you draw it is it's like its own entity. I like drawing the cape blowing in the wind, even if there's nothing else is blowing in the wind, because it just gives Batman a really dynamic look. And you can do that with Superman. If Superman's flying, you want to have his cape going specific ways, showing the motion that he's moving. Or if he's just floating there, flying, hovering above something, you want to have it billowing and moving. The superhero cape is a fun thing to draw, and it does add a lot of action and movement to the character. And you always want to find little things like that whenever you're drawing a comic book, so that you just want dynamic looking poses and dynamic looking things, whether it be smoke billowing through a city or rain coming down, everything, like things like that, like help just bring the image to another level. And so Batman's cape does that for sure. It adds a surreal feel to the character and a dynamism that you can't get with other characters.
Oh. I read online that you're very religious. Does that affect your art at all, or do you keep them separate?
Yes and no. I mean, I choose the projects I work on based on whether I think they're appropriate for myself. There's certain things I don't want to work on. There's certain, I don't want to draw super ultraviolet comics or anything like that. But I look more or less for the message of the story and the good versus evil aspect is something that shows up in Christianity. And a lot of the comic book stories and superheroes are all based off of old Bible stories, in all honesty. So I like that, and I like it when certain writers they'll know that, like Jeff Johns, he knows what my faith is, and so he likes to mix some of that stuff in there. But it's not something that it has to be in there. But for me, I treat it more. As a Christian, I believe that it's my duty to work and do everything as unto the Lord. It says in Colossians 3:23, and so I do my best not for the applause of man, but for the applause of God. I want Him to be proud of my work. And so that affects what I work on and what I choose to work on. And I also trust that God's going to give me, He's put my career in His hands, and I said, hey, show me where you want me to go, show me what you want me to do. And so far He's blessed me with some really great projects. I have no complaints, and I'm always looking forward to what's in the future.
Nice. I read that you love to go toy hunting at conventions. Do you ever have time to at a show like this?
Oh yeah, I just came back from toy hunting.
Oh wow.
I before I even sat down at the table this morning, I ran around the show floor trying to buy all the things that I wanted to buy before the crowds were in there. But yeah, I'm a big toy nerd. I recently got to design a whole bunch of action figures for DC Collectibles. I'm designing some big statues for Prime One Studios. They do these huge statues. My office is just filled with toys, and action figures, and statues, and comic books. My wife drives her nuts because she just thinks it's all messy in there. But I love toys. I'm still a kid at heart. And I'm a collector, and I'm a fan at heart, and so that's something that keeps me young.
My helper won't let me get any toys at conventions.
Yeah.
Always blame the help.
Yeah, always blame the help, right?
What's your favorite toy that you found at a show?
Well, recently I've been buying these here, I'll show you. just picked this one up today. I've been buying these. They're Star Wars
nice.
samurai figures. So it's like as if they make they're a samurai, ancient Japanese samurai, but as a Star Wars character. So I bought the Darth Vader and some stormtroopers, and I found this Boba Fett today. This is one I was looking for. And so like I've been into these ones, and I like collecting the hot toy figures, which are really like beautiful, realistic looking, ones. I bought a Darth Vader at one of the shows last year, and that one has been something special for me. And also some Ninja Turtle stuff. I'm a big Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan, and so I've collected a bunch of those at different shows, some of the original action figures that I had when I was your age, and my mom threw them all out. And so I've been trying to recollect them, now that I have some money. So things like that. But there's always something new I'm looking for. And big cons like this are awesome because you can find so much that I just can't. I don't have available to me yet. I know how much we get before the show.
Thanks for answering my questions, too. It's great meeting you.
Awesome. Great to meet you too, bud.